I'm meteorologist Evan Stewart. It's Tuesday, October 27th, and now we'll get to the latest on Tropical Storm Zeta. It did weaken as it crossed over the Yucatan Peninsula. It is expected to strengthen, though, as it emerges back into the Gulf of Mexico. First, a quick recap of the hurricane season thus far. You know that early on, we went through the entire list of Atlantic hurricane names, and for the second time in history, we had to go to the Greek alphabet. Last time we did that was in 2005 when we got up to Zeta. That storm formed in December, so here we are at the end of October and we have Hurricane Zeta. Well, it was a hurricane and it will be once again. So the likelihood that we will surpass the names from 2005, very, very likely. Zeta is our 27th named storm of the year in this very record-breaking hurricane season of 2020. As you know, here we are, end of October. The hurricane activity really goes down after the peak in middle of September 10th to be exact. And now we really are on the tail end of the hurricane season. But still, 5% of all named storms form in the month of November. So we still have time to go. And we can even have tropical systems outside of the standard hurricane season like we did in 2005 when we got to Zeta. So the tropical storm statistics for named storms so far this year, we have had 27 named storms. Our average is 12, and the record is 28 set back in 2005. And you might be thinking, well, Evan, you said that in 2005 we got to Zeta, and that's the 27th named storm. Why are there 28 on the list for 2005? Well, the Hurricane Center always does a postseason analysis, and they found that there was one system that they probably should have named, and they went ahead and after the hurricane season said, you know what, we should have named it. We're going to say it was a tropical storm or a subtropical storm, so we're going to go ahead and put it in there on the list. So technically, we've got as far as we did in 2005 as far as the list goes, but after the season, they said there was one more that we should have counted. So we're not quite there, but one more tropical storm, and we will be tied for 2005. The difference, though, in 2005, we had far more hurricanes. We've had 11 so far this year. We had 15 back in 2005. So most of our named systems have been tropical storms as opposed to hurricanes. And we saw quite a bit more in the way of hurricane activity back in 2005. Here's the latest visible satellite loop on Tropical Storm Zeta. Looks like an eye is trying to form, maybe some dry air being pulled into it, but I do expect that we are seeing some strengthening, and by the 5 o'clock advisory, likely looking once again at Hurricane Zeta. And we expected this as the storm moved into the Gulf of Mexico, came off the Yucatan, that we would see that strengthening. Right now, the storm is 485 miles south of the mouth of the Mississippi River. And here's the forecast track. This is as of the 11 o'clock advisory. Notice as we get Wednesday, 8 p.m., that's local time. It'll be 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time here for Louisiana. And we're looking at that landfall as a Category 1 storm with winds of 80 miles per hour. We have hurricane warnings there in the pink, and we have tropical storm warnings here on the east side of it, all the way through parts of Mobile Bay and the panhandle of Florida. We are looking at tropical storm warnings. The storm is going to quickly weaken as it works its way inland. And notice Thursday morning, tropical depression, and even close to us, it'll have winds of tropical depression strength, 35 miles per hour by Thursday evening, and the storm racing off towards the east. And on that track, we will likely see some rain from the remnants of Tropical Storm Zeta, or whatever it is, a hurricane once it makes landfall, but just the remnants, and a cold front pushing through as well, so that'll help accentuate some of the heavier rain. The Zeta wind history, it was a hurricane, as we mentioned yesterday, 5 o'clock. Once it came on shore in the Yucatan Peninsula, it did weaken a bit, and now winds are down to 65 miles per hour. But again, it does look like it is trying to strengthen. Hurricane Hunter aircraft are out there investigating the storm, and of course they'll relay that information back to the Hurricane Center when we get that 5 o'clock advisory. As far as rainfall goes, since it will be a little bit of a faster moving system, generally here through parts of Alabama and Mississippi, we're looking at 4 to 7 inches of rain, and outside of that, 2 to 4, but as you get up closer to areas, say, around Evansville, Indiana and stuff, we could see some heavier rain there as well with that cold front coming in. That'll kind of accentuate some of the heavier rain. So as we look at some of these rainfall totals, about 5 inches in New Orleans, over 5 inches in Chattanooga and Evansville, 2.5 in Memphis. So there's a little bit of that secondary area of some heavier rain that stretches all the way up to Cincinnati, expecting over 4 inches of rain. Same thing around Louisville, while Atlanta, the heaviest of the rain will just be north of there, so maybe an inch down towards the Atlanta region. Now, as far as the wind speed probabilities here, Grand Isle, Louisiana, as we get into 8 p.m., a very high chance of seeing those winds of over 40 miles per hour. That's what we're looking at here, the odds of seeing those 40-mile-per-hour winds. Even areas around Slidell, 45% chance. You can see here in Biloxi a 65% chance, and even greater than a 50-50 chance of 40-mile-per-hour winds in the city of New Orleans. Again, we've had 10 named systems make landfall in the continental U.S. so far this year. 4 of those have been in Louisiana: Cristobal, Marco, Laura, and Delta. And now we're looking at likely our 11th landfalling named system, and likely the 5th to make landfall in the state of New Orleans. Of course, we'll keep you updated, have our local forecast and more information tomorrow in our Tropical Update.